Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Another episode, Her Business, Her Voice, Her Conversation. Well, today's guest, he got his master's in computer science and finance. He created Calypso, which is a part of the car sale industry, but don't play it cheap because he was able to sell that business to Carvana, and we all know Carvana. So that is huge. We'll hear more about that adventure, and he also played on Germany's national golf team. So let me welcome Mr. Nicholas Hinrichsen. Hinrichsen.
Thanks for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you also because you are an entrepreneur, you are an investor. And as we look at what's going on in the world today, a lot of people have been displaced, their companies have shut down, all kinds of things are going on. I think that people really need to take a look at this thing of becoming an entrepreneur. So, Nicholas, what are your thoughts concerning entrepreneurship here in 2020?
Oh, wow. Broad question. Yeah, first of all, obviously terrible what's happening in the world, both the protests as well as the turmoil, but also as well as the virus. Like this is just something that hopefully brings us humans together because ultimately that's what it really matters most. And then from an entrepreneurial angle, I think this is an opportunity. There's the saying, don't miss a good or don't let a good crisis go to waste. And so I feel like that is very applicable today. Like we see a shift from offline to online. And so that's been there for the last 10 years, but now it's been accelerated. And so you see the stock market is up, especially for the companies that are tech and tech savvy and online. And so I think that's just a signal in which direction it's going to go. And so I made the choice. I left a job, which a lot of people involuntarily left the job. I voluntarily left the job because I wanted to take the opportunity to start another company. It will be in the tech space. We can talk about it more. But what's more important is for people to feel encouraged that there's hope. Like these tech businesses will grow. And so if I was an entrepreneur in today's time, I would look into technology because that's going to change everything.
Okay. And it has changed everything. People who didn't know about Zoom, it was just that thing that people could use. Now everybody is on it. And you hear about Zoom fatigue, but we have to stay focused and understand what's going on in the tech world because
That's
that's
true.
where we're all headed.
That's
Okay,
true.
I hear you.
The other thing, I think we shouldn't be discouraged short term. Like it's a roller coaster, but life is long and every entrepreneurial journey takes very long too. So even if it feels today like there is no revenue and customers are not there, don't get discouraged. Instead, think long term because I know you need to survive and pay the bills day to day, but long term is you just need to be in the right path. You need to have the right north star, so to say, and then I think it'll all take care of itself. The company will grow.
Oh my goodness, that is golden. I hope that everybody heard. Stay on the path. So stay consistent. Don't get discouraged. One day you're selling cakes, and the next day you're selling mouthwash.
Yeah,
Stay the course. And because we see a lot of that, Nicholas, we see a lot of that. People are just trying to find their path. But your story is one that just intrigues me. I mean, from Germany, went to was it Stanford?
went to Stanford for business
Okay.
school. Yeah,
And you were teaching, helping people unload their cars. You know,
yeah,
this is
that's
an
what I did.
easy way for you to get the best bang for your buck on your car. You had happy customers. Tell us about how that worked. And then you were consistent and it led you to this awesome opportunity with Carvana. Take us on that journey.
Thank you. So here's the story. I'm from Germany originally. You mentioned it earlier. I used to play on the golf national team. I just really loved playing golf. I ended up not becoming a professional athlete. Instead, went to college. But I really enjoyed the challenge and stretching my comfort zone and just working hard on something. And so, first job I took in Germany, but in 2011 I moved to the US to go to business school because I wanted to be in tech. Went to Stanford, and that's where I met my very good friend and co-founder Chris. He's a huge car enthusiast. His first car was the DeLorean, the one from Back to the Future, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the extent to which he's obsessed with cars. And so we, towards the end of the business school experience, our classmates started asking Chris for help or advice. How do you sell a used car? And since Chris always wanted to be in the car space and we had gotten really good friends, Chris encouraged me to, let's just try it out. Let's just sell our classmates cars and see what happens. So just do something. And so we took action, started selling our classmates cars, which you need to imagine, all these people went off and were about to sign offers with incredible companies, like ridiculous salaries. And Chris and I were detailing their cars and taking photos and posting on Craigslist. But what it taught us was like there was real value. People needed and wanted that experience and service. And so that those initial experiments developed so much momentum that professors and lecturers approached us and wanted to invest in our business.
Wow, that's something. But you went for it. I mean, you could have said, that's not my job. I don't want to detail cars. I'm a
Yeah,
Stanford, I'm a student at Stanford. I don't
yeah,
want to
I
do
could.
that. That's a good idea, Chris, but we're going to pawn that off to somebody else. What if you hadn't followed through? So then that leads me to the thought, if you have an idea, and tell me if I'm right, if you have an idea, throw that bread on the water and test it out. That's pretty much what you and Chris did, correct?
That's the most important thing. When you start a business, the most important thing is to not overthink it. The most important thing is to take action and do something. Because whatever your hypothesis or ideas, you're likely wrong, but you only find out once you talk to customers, people who you want to pay for your services or your product. And then they might not want it, but they'll tell you what they want. And so you learn, the only way for you to learn what's really valuable is through putting yourself out there and talking to potential customers. And so that's what we did. We ended up like talking to a lot of customers, first students, and then other people who we acquired through marketing.
Mm, mm. And it was so successful that your professors approached you all. You really had a business model that they were turned into a case study, it
Yeah,
sounds like.
yeah. In fact,
Wow.
we are a case study. So every year, I think once or twice, we go back to campus and see the students, and that's super fun, obviously, because it's the early days, all the mishaps, all the things that didn't work, we talk about, and so we won't forget.
Oh, that is magical. That's why I'm so glad to have this conversation today because a lot of people have ideas, but they're operating out of fear, the unknown, and you and Chris must have felt all of that in the
Oh
early
yeah,
days.
yeah. It never felt like it was working. It was a roller coaster, and we had like it's these two crazy guys wanting to sell cars, and nobody took us seriously in the beginning. What ended up happening, so this peer-to-peer model where I'll help you sell your car to somebody else is really tough. Instead, what we found is there are a lot of institutions who have a lot of vehicles in inventory, rental companies, leasing companies, and they
Mhm.
usually sell them to dealerships, and then dealerships sell them to customers. And so we changed our model and made these cars that are usually not available to consumers. We made them available to consumers through technology. And so that's the version of the model that then started growing a lot.
And that's what caught Carvana's eye because you all were consistent and you didn't get discouraged. You just kept moving and
Yeah.
growing. And we'll put this in, we'll take that out. Speaking with your customers, understanding what they want, what they need. So then you caught the eye of Carvana. Did they approach you all or did you all approach them?
Yeah, good question. So we got to a decent size for quote unquote independent dealership. But since we wanted to be big nationwide and create venture capital type of returns, we realized we needed to invest a lot of capital into physical infrastructure. And so the tech businesses here in San Francisco, as the name says, they're mainly tech. They want to move bits and bytes. They don't want to move warehouses and cars.
Mhm.
And so Carvana at the time had been growing like a rocket ship, and they had a lot of infrastructure built already. And so what we ended up doing is we ended up talking to actually one of our classmates who worked in partnerships at Carvana. Just asked, would you be interested in comparing notes? I know we're quote unquote competitors, but let's just be friendly with each other. And so we became friends with them, really close, shared notes, showed them what we had built. And then we realized we had built some technology that Carvana was about to start building. And so instead of them building what we'd already built and us being by ourselves, we said, why don't we just bring the whole team over? Sell the
Mhm.
company, bring the team, and then work on this mission jointly. And so that gave us an opportunity to go from like a medium-sized sedan into this Ferrari that was taking off like a rocket ship, Carvana, and we were so lucky and happy that we decided to stay on for 3 years.
Oh, wow. What an opportunity. And that feeling and that knowledge of what happened during that transition and that 3 years with them, that led you into where you are now. I heard you speaking of competition,
Yeah,
but you befriended them. You all feel, or still saw an opportunity to fill a need, and when you combined, you became stronger. So, for the person that is medium sized right now, what how do they make that transition so that they continue to be above the fold? I
yeah,
guess I'm trying to ask. How do
yeah.
they stay visible so that that same kind of opportunity that they're looking for, so that somebody in the tech industry, that you guys will take notice with them? Hey, somebody's hoping for that
Yeah.
opportunity, I'm sure.
Um, so when you're small, you have superpowers that big companies don't have, which means you have the opportunity to talk and delight every single customer on an
Mm,
individual basis. And so happy customers is the most powerful thing you can have as a business, because happy customers will talk about their experiences. They'll share how great the experience was, how much value they got out of the experience working with you. And then word of mouth will drive growth. And happy customers are loyal customers and they'll never move.
mm,
And so as a small company, small-ish company, you always have that benefit because you as an entrepreneur get to talk to the customers. And so if you want to grow, then I think you have two options. Option number one is you try to raise capital and just throw more at customers, acquire them, and then standardize the process. Or you create a culture, and that's the one that I like better. You create a culture when you hire people that that treat the customers just like you treated them. Carvana is incredible at that. Carvana has 7 or 8 core values as part of the culture. They're written all over the walls everywhere. And one value is treat the next customer like you would treat your mom. And so the whole company breathes that and lives that. And so every single employee always has in the back of their mind, whoever I'm talking to, even if the person is rude or frustrated or unhappy, let's treat her like he could be my mom, because I want my mom to be treated really well. And so I think that's true for every company. You want your employees to breathe customer service and work with customer obsession to make sure that you create good experiences, and then customers stay loyal.
yes, yes. That's sound and sage advice indeed. It really is, because all it takes is one disgruntled, extremely disgruntled person, and then you're back to building
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
What are you doing these days? I mean, you are an entrepreneur. Well, you know what? Let me take a step back. Let me
yeah.
take a step back. Tell me about your days on the golf
Golf
team.
course.
You,
Okay, got it.
yes. Take me to those days, and then coming out of it. You say that you didn't become a
Yeah,
professional athlete, but you surely took away some
some
strategies,
lessons. Yeah,
some information. So tell us about those days.
yeah. First, I'll go into that in a second. Like the way you make it sound as if this was just steps to success and it just took the next step. The whole last 7 years in the car space, for example, it was like the craziest roller coaster. Like we went from one day being ecstatic and happy thinking this worked to the next day being convinced we'll have to shut our doors. This is not going to work. And so entrepreneurs need to know that. Like I don't want to come across as this worked. This is this one hit, like this overnight success, because if at all, it's an overnight success, 7 years in the making. And I don't want people to walk away with the thought like there's these entrepreneurs who just got it and do it, because it's not true. Every entrepreneur struggled most of the time, and then one day woke up and was standing in front of a massive business, building in the company, and then he realizes, wow, like it has worked, but it was a hard way. So that's one thought. And then going back to golf, golf is a really interesting sport because you actually play against yourself all the time. It's I read, I'm not sure if that's true, but I read that tennis and golf are the only sports where players talk themselves down, like tell themselves, you're such an idiot, that was a bad shot, you could have done better. And so you're becoming very hard on yourself. You set a very high bar and you become very disciplined. And I think if I looked back into things that golf taught me, I think it would be discipline and the urgency and eagerness to take action. I think that happens to be key ingredients of an entrepreneur too. But looking back, like this wasn't planned. This just happened to me.
I'm glad that you made it quite clear there are no overnight
Oh
successes.
yeah.
And yeah, I was making kind of put it in, trying to put it in sequence, but the ebb and the flow, and
Oh yeah.
I mean, your transparency, this is what people need because nobody wants to tell about the days when we had to only eat beans and we got a $10,000 check. And then the next day after we paid everything, we are like, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
Those are the things that people have to understand. But yet, you still throw your hat towards entrepreneurship. So, what are you doing these days, Nicholas?
Yeah, it's an addiction. So after, when we were still running our own company, we noticed one tension that we didn't enjoy very much. When people buy cars, 80% of the people who need a car loan get the loan at the dealership. It's because you shop for cars, you don't shop for loans. And then while at the dealership, when you tell the dealer I need to finance this vehicle, what the dealer does and you don't realize is he doesn't give you the loan that's best for you.
Oh,
He gives you the loan that pays him the highest referral fee. And so this sounds unethical. I think it's just the way this system works. The margin on cars is much slimmer than you think. And
mhm.
so the money needs to be made somewhere else. Otherwise, these dealerships need to close. But as a result, all of or almost 80% of the borrowers who have a car loan are likely overpaying on their loans. And then, especially if you have challenged credit, you're overpaying by a lot. Like interest rates on car loans can be as high as 29%, which is crazy. And so if you're stuck in a loan like that, you'll never get out of the hole.
Mm-mm.
And so we're working on is a digital platform to refinance auto loans. So you can save thousands of dollars by just clicking it through buttons, rather than having to shop around your loan and visit all these banks and branches in person.
Wow, that is so necessary. Are you in the formative stages, or is it up and running, or do you have a date when you're going to just pull the trigger and this is what we're doing?
I wish I could just do this and then it would be like, no, we have a prototype, a beta version of our experience online. So if you went to on our website, clutch.com, you could submit your phone number, we'll pull your detail, you tell us which loan you want to refinance, you tell us which car you want to refinance, and then we'll get in touch with you. That's still a little bit manual at the end, and so we'll put you in touch with the right lender. It's not fully automatic, but we're in the process of raising funding to hire software engineers and designers to build a better experience that is fully automated. So in 3 months from now, you'll have the experience that I want to be out there and that I want to be proud of.
Well, I tell you what, if it's anything like Calypso and the idea of, I keep hearing you say customer service, you are, you care about people and the product. And the way I feel a sense of passion and energy coming from you. So I think that, you give people this sense of, if we work with this fellow, we're going to be in good hands. So that's something that you have cultivated, and that's commendable because these
Appreciate
days everybody over here, I have the best, I have the best, and
it.
you are you're like you're cuckoo. Is the best, you know? So conversations like this are good. They get a chance to see you, hear you, and I think it's wonderful because it's so needed. People are going to have to refinance their mortgages,
Exactly.
definitely their cars, car payments. I mean, in Southern California, car payments can be quite expensive, and
It can
it's
be.
mind-boggling. They give you just throw you in something, and they don't shop around and find the best for you. That's not their job.
It's not their
So,
job. Yeah.
wow. Mm. How can people reach you? I mean, I'm sure that people want to stay where they can watch you grow and understand
Appreciate it.
when they have this, yeah, when your product is online. And what about you? Are you doing? I know that you do a lot of podcast interviews, but are you guys going to actually set up a podcast so that you can keep people abreast to what's going on? Because Most of us, Joe Blow, such as myself, we don't know this information.
No, you said so many nice things. Thanks for the cut words. So, how can people reach me? I would love to be in touch with your audience and listeners. Best way is probably LinkedIn. Just look for Nicholas Hinrichsen. Maybe you can put the link in the show notes
Hmm.
so we can connect. Love to get hear what you're up to. If you want to build something, my feedback. I'm big on feedback, so get in touch. Don't hesitate. I'd love to hear what everybody's up to. That's number one. Number two, the podcast is a really good idea for two reasons. A, obviously you have listeners and you can keep them informed about what you're doing. The other thing is the business, our business really only starts with auto refinance. And what we're trying to achieve is build a platform to make sure that you're in the right products and you're not overpaying on anything that's auto related. Because if you improve your credit, not only can you refinance, but you can also lower your insurance premium.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe you have gap insurance and don't need it anymore. Or maybe you have an extended service plan or warranty that it's just not matched to your needs. And so we want to be your advocate to A, educate you around all the new products that we can help you with, and B, then regularly check in with you and encourage you to check where you can save and how much you can save, because times are a little tough these days and a few extra buck in your wallet will probably help.
Oh, yeah. And to know that somebody, an extra set of eyes where you
Exactly.
never, you just go right along, and these things you never check. At least I know that I don't. So
Well, I'll help you.
you, well, thank you. You are gearing up to really give the world something that is so necessary. And I mean, it seems as though you are always spot on with the timing of things with Calypso and Carvana. And here you are, we're going to come out of this pandemic one day, and people are going to need your help. They're going to need those extra set of eyes. So thank you for what you're giving. On your LinkedIn page, I noticed that you say having having an impact. I
That's
would
what I'm
say
trying
that's
to do.
exactly what you're doing.
Thank
Wow.
you so much. It means a
No,
lot to me.
no worries. Final words. Final words, Nicholas.
Well, when you're an entrepreneur, I think what's really important is that you do it for the right reasons. And so in Silicon Valley and the Bay Area, you see all these tech companies and people become very wealthy. The people who became really wealthy and impactful are the ones who didn't do it for the money. They went into what they are doing for very different reasons. In our case, what I really care about is I'm an immigrant, quote unquote, myself. So I moved to the US. I have all these opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I started with no credit. And so when I wanted to lease my first car, I basically couldn't. Chris, my co-friend, I had to co-sign. And then I slowly built it up and I got lucky and I understood what I was doing. But I think it's not the same for everyone. Not everybody gets lucky and not everybody understands the products and credit cards they're signing up for. And so what I'm in for and what I'm trying to achieve is to give back and help people get out of bad credit or address income inequality, at least do a little bit my part to help people even who are not as fortunate and who's not as lucky as I was.
Yes, yes. Wow. Well, once again, thank you. Offering up a service that is so very necessary. So, wow. As I always tell everybody, that people are going to have to listen to the show more than one time because her business, her voice, her conversation is built up on how to instruction, information, and inspiration. And Nicholas, you have given all of that today. So I thank you. I thank you. I thank you.
Thanks for
Really,
having me.
truly. Oh, no worries. And as always, wow, listen more than one time, and I will be back next week with a brand new episode. Her business, her voice, her conversation. Stay safe, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye now.
Bye.